Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of TV Talk. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to be talking about some underrated shows that were gone far too soon in our opinion. The first show we're going to be talking about is Freaks and Geeks, which aired on NBC for just about a year, from 1999 to 2000. And this show was basically how the world came to know Judd Apatow. Of course, he had worked on some projects before this, but this was his real big start. It was a TV show that was about 18 episodes long that just focused on high school kids in a town in Michigan, the Freaks and the Geeks, and covered a lot of things about, where people fit in, finding your place, discovering who you are in high school. This show gave us a lot of well-known actors of today. James Franco, Jason Segel, Seth Rogen, they all got their start on this show of Judd Apatow's. Unfortunately, it was only 18 episodes long. When it was airing, it was not so much of a critical or popular hit. It only lasted on NBC for about 12 episodes. They canceled it, people got upset, so they aired 3 more, but the final 3 episodes, including the series finale, aired on the Fox Family Channel, which I don't even think is a thing anymore. Of course, after it was canceled, it kind of garnered more attention. More people started paying attention to it, more people started watching it. This could be because Seth Rogen, James Franco, Jason Segel were all taking on more popular projects, so people kind of wanted to go back and see where they got their start. Now it's considered one of the 100 greatest TV shows of all time, which is pretty wild considering NBC didn't even let it finish its whole run. It's airing on syndication on channels like FX, FXX. You can also find it on places like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and DVDs if people use those anymore. Our next television show has a special place in my heart, and this show is NBC's musical drama Smash. The show aired for 2 seasons from 2012 to 2013. Basically, it followed producers, actors, directors, all trying to work on an original musical entitled Bombshell about the life and times of Marilyn Monroe, and all of the backstage drama that went on within it. You had 2 actresses competing for the lead role, producers, directors, writers, lyricists who could not get along. The show was in financial turmoil. Somebody tried to poison someone at one point. It was just the best drama ever. For the second season, they introduced another musical called Hit List, and this was kind of an attempt to relate to the modern theatrical world where you have, your classic musicals a la My Fair Lady, you have your new hit musicals like Hamilton, and kind of looked at how the theater community reacted to both of these. The show struggled in its second season. It kind of got the time slot of death. It was on Saturday nights competing against 48 Hours Mystery, but with all the struggles it had in its second season, it really had a fantastic finale that I think left a lot of Smash fans who had been on the fence about the show wanting more. There are still tons and tons of Smash fans out there at different conventions and festivals throughout the New York area. People are always talking about the show and the songs. The songs are continuously available on iTunes. You should really check them out. And for any Smash fans out there, we do have a bit of good news. Scott Whitman and Mark Shaman, who were 2 of the producers that worked on the show, have said that they are currently working on adapting Bombshell, the fictitious musical in Smash, into an actual stage show that will one day play in New York. This is great news. I'm so excited. Unfortunately, they are gonna take their time with this. They work on a lot of other projects, including all of the televised musicals NBC has done, Peter Pan, Hairspray, all that stuff. So they've got a lot on their plate, and they wanna make sure they're devoting the right amount of time to this project. So maybe 5 years from now, we'll get a Bombshell musical on stage in New York, and all of the Smash fans will finally be happy. Our next show is Arrested Development, which is a single-camera comedy that aired on Fox for 3 seasons from 2003 to 2006. A 4th season was released exclusively on Netflix in 2013. And this show follows the fictitious Bluth family, who used to be wealthy and still live like they are. The main protagonist is one of the adult sons of the family, portrayed by Jason Bateman, and he is a widower who is trying to raise his child and keep his family all in line. This show had a lot of really great character actors: Jason Bateman, as I mentioned, Portia de Rossi, Jeffrey Tambor, Will Arnett, and Michael Cera. This is probably where Michael Cera got his start and where many of us grew to love him. Netflix has ordered a 5th season of this show, which is tentatively slated for a 2017 release, so we have that to look forward to. And there have also been rumors circulating for a long time about a potential Arrested Development film, with Ron Howard and Brian Grazer as two of the main producers on the show. This isn't really surprising given their history with film. But nothing has been confirmed. None of the actors have really confirmed that this is true, so it gives us all something to hope for, that maybe there one day might be an Arrested Development film. Our next show is Veronica Mars, which aired on what is now known as the CW for 3 seasons. And this show followed Veronica Mars, played by probably everyone's favorite actress, Kristen Bell, as a high school and eventually college student who solves mysteries in her hometown. She starts working under her father, who's a private investigator, and eventually goes off and does her own thing, being the awesome young woman that she is. The show followed a case of the week format where, you'd have your weekly mystery, but then it also explored some overarching mysteries throughout the course of the season. Those big cliffhangers, whodunits, all that sort of thing. The show was originally developed to be a young adult novel, but then the producers and creators took a turn and decided to make it super dark and try to sell it to HBO, Showtime, FX, these networks that, do Game of Thrones, American Horror Story, that kind of stuff. But the networks weren't really biting it, and the only network that was the CW, who is best known for teen soap operas and superhero shows. So they said it kind of had to be toned down. So the creators and the producers reworked it and came up with Veronica Mars, which is super popular. So much so, in fact, in 2013, when they got the idea to do a film, they raised the money for the film entirely on Kickstarter, which is incredible. Funding a whole film on Kickstarter, people are super passionate about it and really wanted to see what would happen to Veronica Mars years later. The movie came out in theaters and on demand in 2014, so you should definitely check that out after you watch all 3 seasons of Veronica Mars. Now we're going to talk about probably one of the most discussed, most polarizing TV shows of our time. I'm sure this was on back when they had water coolers, so everyone was around the actual physical water cooler talking about it. And this show is Twin Peaks. The show aired for 2 seasons in 1990 and 1991, and it had a TV movie in 1992 to kind of wrap things up and tie all the loose ends that fans were left questioning. It starred Kyle MacLachlan as FBI agent Dale Cooper, who comes to this small town, Twin Peaks, it's a fictitious town in Washington, to investigate the murder of a high school student. And while he's there, he uncovers a lot of stuff. This show dealt not only with the murder mystery of who murdered this high school student, also looked at the double lives of many people in the town, also explored some supernatural occurrences. It was a little bit of everything in this show. And when it first premiered, in the early 90s, there was nothing like it on TV, so people ate it up. Unfortunately, the 2nd season was a little more divisive. People felt that the storyline of who killed this high school student had been drawn on too long. So the developers of the show decided to wrap up that mystery midway through the 2nd season, and then just kind of went about aimlessly from there, which then led to the cancellation of the show. But the cult following really responded well to it, and so it got the TV movie. It's still, like I said, one of the most popular and divisive shows of our time. People are constantly talking about it. Me personally, didn't care for it. I know a lot of people who really, really like it though. And all of those people who really, really like it are going to be happy because Showtime has announced that they are going to be doing a mini-series for Twin Peaks. It was supposed to come out this year in 2016, but because of delays with production and writing the script and coming up with the stories, it has been bumped tentatively to 2017, but that is by no means set in stone. Most of the original cast is set to return, so if you're a fan of Twin Peaks, I'm sure you're going to be super excited and marking this date on your calendar. If you're not a fan or you've never watched it before, give the first 2 seasons a try, see if you like it, and if you do, you have something new to look forward to in 2017. Now for another comedy. This show is called Happy Endings, and it aired on ABC for 3 seasons. This show initially started out as a mid-season replacement, so in March when nothing good was on TV, they threw it in just so they had something in the time slot. They didn't really think much of it, but it became, one of those shows with a huge cult following. It followed 6 friends living in Chicago. 2 of them are about to get married, and they have brought this whole friend group together. Unfortunately, Dave and Alex decide to break up on their wedding day, which kind of leaves the friend group in turmoil. Like, do we all still act like friends? What are we gonna do? Kind of like how when Ross and Rachel broke up on Friends and there is that like span of episodes where nobody really knew what to do. Well, this whole show is like that. But it's really funny, very positive, and it shows that you really can be friends and remain friends even in the toughest of times. In its third season, it kind of got the kiss of death from ABC. There was very erratic scheduling where it would change times each week, change days, which resulted in declining numbers of people watching, and then the show was ultimately canceled. A lot of people were upset. Again, this is a recurring theme with all of these shows. When it was canceled, it was called one of the worst TV decisions ever made, canceling the show. People were very upset. There's been like rumors online that they never broke down the set, so they're gonna like secretly revive it, or there's like a movie in the works, or there's gonna be a spinoff, all of this stuff. Well, some of these questions were answered this past October at Entertainment Weekly's Pop Fest. The entire cast, writers, everyone came back, sat on stage, and read a new episode that answered a lot of questions and also kind of put the series in new perspective. I'm not going to give anything away because when I looked at it, I was blown away. So watch the first 3 seasons of Happy Endings, then kind of go back, read what this episode entitled 401 is about, and I think it wraps everything up nicely. There still could be a potential revival. I think the entire cast is open to doing one, but nothing definitive has been decided. Our last show is Pushing Daisies, which aired on ABC from 2007 to 2009. And this show follows Ned, who's a baker played by actor Lee Pace, who learns that he can reanimate the dead, but there are some catches to this. The first is if he reanimates something and it stays alive for longer than a minute, something else in that area will die to, kind of keep the balance of life and death. And also, if he touches whoever he reanimated a second time, they'll stay dead permanently. So when he learns he has this power, he's called to the aid of a police detective who wants Ned's help in solving murders. He can reanimate the murder victims, they can talk to them, find out some clues about what happened, and then solve the mystery. But to introduce an aspect of romance into the show, Ned reanimates his childhood love interest, who he decides to keep alive, but it's torture because he can't hold her hand or anything like that. So the show kind of explores that dynamic while also, following the case of the week formula. This was another one that was canceled too soon. There have been talks of a mini-series, a movie, even a Broadway musical, because Kristen Chenoweth, of course known for her Broadway background, was a star on this show, but nothing is definitive. One of the producers of this show did talk to the producers of Veronica Mars to see about doing a Kickstarter, because that worked so well for the Veronica Mars film, but unfortunately the budget for a Pushing Daisies film would be close to like $15 million, and it was deemed unfeasible to do that on Kickstarter. So if you're a fan of Pushing Daisies, fingers crossed that one day you might get the revival that you're longing for. That's it for this episode of TV Talk. If you have missed any of these shows or you loved them and you just want to check them out again, almost all of them are available on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or on those old school DVDs. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, WMTV 1693, and check out all of our social media sites, our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.